Couple updates on the Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley front. So we're going to do it live right now here on the Fantasy Football Show. Let's get started. File on in. Phone lines will be open. Let's go.
The FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What's up, everybody? My name's Smitty. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. This is an emergency graveyard episode edition of the show. And while we don't have any news to in the sense that somebody's announcing they're going somewhere or somebody's signing somewhere, we still have enough information that I felt it was important to go live and discuss these three different things right here. So let's break them down. The phone lines will be open, so dial on in if you would like to have a question answered. If you have anything you want to talk about regarding Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, any of the situations going on, or for your fantasy football championships that you're going to win in 2023, because we're going to help you get there in 2023.
Mashed potatoes!
Apparently, you got some camera issues here. Let's try that one more time. The championships that you're going to win in 2023.
Mashed potatoes!
Let's try it. Let's try it one more time. Okay, here we go. We've got some camera issues here. What is going on with my cameras? This one, and this one. Let's try it now.
Mashed potatoes!
That's not the one either. This is the one. Hold on. This isn't working. This isn't working out too well. Hold on. Let's switch it up. All right, now we can do it. Ready? Championships that you're going to win in 2023. Yep, that's what we're talking about. Okay, now we're in our groove. Now we're ready to go. Look, guys, we got 20 of you on Twitter. We got 40 of you on YouTube. Punch that thumb up button on the way in the door. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. This right here from Trey Wingo is kind of new information, right? It's good. It's good news in terms of this Jets situation and what we want for Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I'm not excited about Aaron Rodgers going back to Green Bay as much as I am him going to the Jets and potentially making a little Super Bowl run, to be honest with you. I think the Jets have that kind of talent, and I know a lot of people don't think so. The Jets are the Jets. Smitty, you're crazy. You think the Jets are going to do well. Well, I heard the same thing when we started talking about the Bengals winning the division 2 years ago and the Bengals making a Super Bowl run, and they did that. They've done that twice now. Okay, so the Bengals could do it, and they were the cellar dweller, bottom of the league. Nobody loved them. Nobody trusted them. Joe Burrow can't do it by himself. Jamar Chase is the wrong pick. Penny Sewell, you need to pick Penny Sewell. Appreciate Ron Navy, everybody being in here. Frake, peanut butter and waivers, peanut butter cups, I guess. I don't know if that's the same guy. I always get confused by you guys. Per sources, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets had conversations today. Conversations aren't, we don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Nothing is intimate, but Rodgers is open to the idea of going to New York. This sounds a little strange to me. I feel like this is like a half of the story being told. I bet you there's either less to it or more to it, to be honest with you. Aaron Rodgers is likely going to New York or heading back to Green Bay. There's no Las Vegas talk that I'm aware of anymore. I've heard the door was closed. The Jets closed the door on Aaron Rodgers. That doesn't seem to be true. Maybe they were thinking Derek Carr more than Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr sidestepped into New Orleans because, he wanted to be the focal point of whatever team wanted to bring him in. Not a second choice, not an equal 1A and a 1B or a 1B and a 1B. Because it really felt like that was the way the Jets were looking at both Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to play both sides of that. And maybe Derek Carr just didn't like that. Maybe Derek Carr said, look, I got no competition right now if I just step over here and start entertaining this New Orleans Saints offer. And then it just started to become home to him. And he met with them several times in Indianapolis, and when he went to go potentially facilitate a trade between the Raiders and the Saints, but then he nixed that deal because he could just go in and sign when he wanted to on his own contract and not have to worry about trying to restructure on a trade. So he made the Raiders release him, and Derek Carr made his own way. Derek Carr found a team that is a good fit for him. He got paid bank, $150 million, $100 million in total guarantees. And this guy is going to get about $70 million in guaranteed salary or money up front, combination of it all. And then there's some other guarantees structured in there to make it about $100 million guaranteed. This guy got a big fat payday. And it's going to do two things for Lamar. It's going to make Lamar feel like, he's so far away from the Ravens offer anyway. And given that Carr wasn't getting like $150 million guarantees, getting $100, I think Lamar is going to absolutely be even further apart from where the Ravens see this thing, because the Ravens see Derek Carr get $100 million guaranteed, not $150, not $180, not $140. So the Ravens are saying $230 is way too far off. Had Derek Carr got like $180, $150 guaranteed, I'm not saying he would have or should have, then we'd be talking about the Ravens going, look, the number is creeping up, whether we like it or not, we better sign Lamar Jackson. I think this Carr deal and this Geno Smith deal, they're both really good deals for them. Very, very good deals. But I think they don't make the Ravens second guess their approach to this thing. And we're approaching the 11th hour, 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, which by the time most of you are in Eastern time, or a lot of you are in Eastern time, so it is Tuesday already. It's really early morning Tuesday. For me, it's 11:18 p.m. In Arizona. That's soon to change because we don't change daylight savings, but next week, I think I said the other day that it was happening on Sunday, but it's this next Sunday. I'm going to be 2 hours behind East Coast, so I start my show an hour earlier, but it's still East Coast 7 p.m. The 7 p.m. show doesn't change. I go East Coast time. But Aaron Rodgers meeting with the Jets, what's it mean? I'd love to know what you guys all think in the chat. I'd love to know if you guys think that this is heading in the right direction. I'd love to know if you guys think that this Derek Carr situation might trigger Aaron Rodgers to want to go somewhere fresh and ink a big new, or not ink a big new deal, but get traded and have a brand new situation to look forward to. I feel like it's like one thing after the other. One guy moves, the next guy moves. It's an exciting thing to watch somebody go and start anew. And I think Aaron Rodgers, he always says Green Bay will always be home, but when he says that, it's hard to know if he means it in, I'm always going back to Green Bay, or saying when I leave, it'll always be home, but I need to go try this out. And I feel like that's where he's at. My gut tells me he's going to New York. My gut told me he was going to leave Green Bay last time, though. And I feel like my gut was right for a big portion of his decision-making process, but I truly believe he changed directions at the last second. I truly believe some of it had to do with Russell Wilson creeping right into that Denver situation, and then Aaron Rodgers being like, oh, whoa. Like if Derek Carr signed with the Jets, I think Aaron Rodgers would have backed right back into Green Bay. I think that him signing with the New Orleans Saints opened the door for Aaron Rodgers to go elsewhere. It had Aaron Rodgers sat back again and done the same thing that he did when Russell Wilson stepped in and took Denver off the table. Derek Carr almost did that with the New York Football Jets. Now he hasn't done it. Now Aaron Rodgers really can take his sweet time if he wants, because the Jets aren't getting anybody else. They're not. They may try and get into the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes potentially. And if Lamar is smart, he'd want to go there because of the defense and the support he'd get on that front. So I don't know. We'll see if anything develops with Lamar and the New York Jets. But for right now, this is at least positive news. It's not like we're not hearing anything. The fact that Aaron Rodgers met with the Jets and the conversations, that he's open to the idea of going, which is such a weird statement. Like, really, Trey? That's what you're going to... It almost sets the conversation back. I almost feel like this puts us back like 2 or 3 weeks, you know what I mean? Does not feel like that's the type of thing you'd hear from a meeting. It'd be like, things went really good. Aaron Rodgers might be, this is a real thing. This is a real possibility. This is in motion. Whether he decides to ultimately go there, this thing is in motion. We're in full effect here. No, it's like he's open to the idea. We're literally hours hours away from the franchise tag closing, and he said he was going to let everybody know. And I'm not really ripping on A-Rod because I love A-Rod, and I always tell you guys that I feel like he deserves to take his time. And if he wants to take his time, and it's not if Green Bay's upset about that, well, that's Aaron Rodgers doesn't care, and part of me respects that. Part of me, also doesn't care. Like it is what it is for me. I love reporting on it either way. It's not something I get tired of talking about, to be honest with you. Very rarely do I get tired of talking about a certain topic over and over. There's always new information. I don't feel like we come out and beat a dead horse on a topic. I feel like we beat a dead horse on a theory or a premise, a big giant concept. But we always have new news. This is new news. We didn't have this news. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lead to anything. Doesn't mean it's concrete. Doesn't mean it's even factual. Trey Wingo could be completely off base. He could have a source that was completely wrong. We have no idea. But at least this is moving in maybe the right direction. It just feels like this is how far along he is. He's open to the idea. Like, that's not very far along. So we'll put this in the corner in case anybody has questions. We can reference it again. Lamar Jackson. This piece of news from Lamar is new news. Is nothing that's updating the situation in terms of like, what's really needing to happen right now or what's going to happen later tonight or anything like that. It's just the Baltimore Ravens will wait until Tuesday's deadline before placing the tag on quarterback Lamar Jackson. Reason they're probably waiting to place a tag on him is in case he decides maybe there's an open door to the contract offer that was last given to Lamar from the team. And maybe they're saying to him, look, we don't want to slap the tag on you. We know how players feel about the tag. And let's just say, we're gonna put the tag on you at the end of the day, right before the deadline. I think they said 30 minutes before the 4 p.m. deadline, probably to be safe and sure that there was no. I don't know if they fax this thing over. The old dogs send a fax over. Yes, check the box if you would like to franchise tag Lamar. I don't know how they actually operate these things these days, these old dogs in the front office, but I'm sure they want a good 30-minute buffer. This is like leaving yourself 3 seconds on the clock when you're going to kick a field goal, just in case you do something wrong. Leave yourself a timeout. Leave yourself 30 seconds, 3 seconds. But, I think this is probably something to do with we have an offer out. You change your mind, Lamar, so we don't have to go through the whole song and dance of a franchise tag. Please let us know. Reach out to us. Our offer, $120 million guaranteed offer, remains as is if you want it. And Lamar's probably like, my mom and I have decided we're going to go in another direction. We want to be traded. I think that's what it's going to be. The only thing I would say here is if they're so far off they can't get a deal done, and I think this is an important part. If they're so far off they can't get a deal done in the amount of time they've had, and the fact that Lamar and the Ravens are so far apart according to reports, my educated guess, is that franchise tagging Lamar won't close that gap. It will only divide because, like I said, it's an agitation tool in a sense. It's called the prison tag amongst players. And we're very, very, very much likely to see a little more divide than we are a little more like bringing the two sides together. I just don't see how Lamar Jackson is going to see the situation better by being franchise tagged and held into a position of control, and that's what the tag is there for. The tag was originally designed for quarterbacks only. You could apply it to any position, but it was designed for the quarterback to hold the quarterback in place so you could work out a long-term deal. And if not, then they play on that franchise tag. It was never meant to be utilized across all the positions every year by every single team having, who do I use my franchise tag on? It was never truly intended to be that. It was a prison tag is what players called it for quarterbacks. And it was rare that you would want to actually have someone play on the tag. Like, it wasn't something that, but now the way the salaries are, how good quarterbacks are, it's all just changed. The whole application of the franchise tag has changed. And you may see it relooked at, in the coming years by the NFLPA, because players don't like the tag and how it operates, and there might be something more they add to it to make it more attractive for the player, give the player a little more power. It was designed to help the team. Let's not get carried away here and act like the poor players are in trouble, right? Hob G's dropping a $50 holler on the screen. Absolutely filthy. Let me prepare some bills to make it rain up in the studio here. Hob G, baby.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah, buddy.
Appreciate you, Hob G's, my guy. Woo. What a man. What a man. Let's read this beast of a message here from Hob G's dropping this $50 holler. The only dude who goes live multiple times per day, putting in that work, the people's champ. It's all about the Fantasy Football Show live. This community is dope. Thanks for putting in the work, Smitty. The best channel on YouTube. Appreciate your support, Hob G's. You're the man. What a guy. What a guy. Lamar Jackson. So the new news on Lamar is that the team's waiting until the deadline because they're not going to slap the tag on him tonight. So if anybody's like, this isn't news, it kind of is, because there could have been a tag drop tonight. This could have been something where they don't give the player the respect they deserve to go as long as possible. Like this is an olive branch, if you will. This is an extended hand by the Ravens, honestly, if I'm being fair about it. As critical as I am about the organization, this is an extended hand and olive branch to say, hey, we don't want to slap you with the tag. We'll prove it by waiting until the last second. We don't want to. We want to work out a deal. Lamar, this might indicate that Lamar stepped away from the table last too. You know what I mean? We'll extend it at the very final hour, hoping Lamar comes back to negotiate a trade. Kind of like when you go to the car dealer and the car dealer says, hey, this is the best offer we have. And you walk away from the table, you're driving home, and they send you a text and say, let me know if you want to rethink that offer. And then you think you're calling their bluff, they're calling your bluff, and then you just pick up the phone. You say, can you throw in a CD player? Like back in the day, remember? You don't get a CD player in a car anymore. Some of you young kids are like, what's a CD player? Imagine if I told you about a tape deck or a mini disc player in a vehicle. But Lamar Jackson getting slapped with the tag tomorrow, I highly doubt. I'm hearing zero information or buzz or no source whatsoever indicating that this is going to get resolved. Lamar Jackson's almost certainly getting franchise tagged tomorrow before the deadline, about 30 minutes to an hour before the deadline. This is updated news. This is all like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter giving us the very latest of the latest, almost summaries, if you will, on these three situations. So that's kind of why or Trey Wingo with one of them. That's why I'm trying to give you all this, as we head into, one sleep before we find it. We all got one sleep before we find out all the tags and we know where Barkley's not going and potentially going. So we're definitely gonna at least have this final summary of the night walking into the final day. So NFL Total Access says that the clock is ticking as the Giants continue to work long-term deal for Daniel Jones. The last I heard, this was a dead end, and so they turned their efforts toward Barkley and said, "Hey, Saquon, sorry, pal, where have you been?" Oh, yeah, Saquon, we were getting ice. We're back. Yeah, you were actually talking with Danny Dimes because signing me to a long-term deal wasn't your number one priority. But now you're coming to me because Danny Dimes wants, $10,000 trillion quadrillion dollars per year. And so now you think I'm just going to come in and save the day so you can franchise my guy and sign me to a long-term deal. I want $15 million guaranteed for 75 years, and I want it now. That's what Barkley essentially is going to do when they give him a call and they keep talking to his people. Their people's talking to his people, and his people are saying, look, we're not budging on what we've told you. You either let our client go hit the free agency market and get what we're asking from you, or you can give Barkley what we're asking from you instead of him having to go somewhere else. And here's the kicker. Barkley has all the leverage. He has all the leverage. Why? Number one, I'm sorry, I need to go down to Barkley here. Number one, Barkley has all the leverage for one reason. Two reasons. Number one, he's Barkley, and he's going to have at least one team, whether it's Miami Mike McDaniel in Miami, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Bengals, whether it's the Cincinnati Bengals or really it could be the Buffalo Bills. One of these contending top dog teams is going to say, This is not a wide receiver. This is not a quarterback. This is not a Nick Bosa type player on defense that you got to pay the big monster contract. This is an RB. RBs are gypped. RBs are not given big contracts. So Barkley's contract, while it's big for a running back comparatively, it is not a big contract compared to some of these other skill positions and defensive positions that literally command so much more money and respect than these RBs. These poor RBs get shafted. And Barkley's going to run into at least one of these heavy-hitting Super Bowl contending teams that want to take out the Kansas City Chiefs. And these teams, this coach, this club, even if it's just one, is going to be willing. Of these top 4 or 5 teams that I named, the Chiefs might even get in the mix, but they usually love cheap running backs, and it doesn't matter, next man up type of thing. So most of these teams are going to want to bring in someone like Derrick Henry in a second round pick type of trade, which every team in the league is reckless for not at least attempting to acquire Derrick Henry for as long as he lasts for a second round pick. It's stupidity. It's borderline stupidity not to go after Derrick Henry aggressively with that 22 or that 2023 second round pick. That's nothing. That's nothing. You're probably not gonna land that player. The odds of you landing your second round pick are not that great. You could get Derrick Henry for a second rounder. You could probably get him for 2/3, to be honest with you. And who cares about thirds, to be quite frank. So Derrick Henry's a whole nother topic. But Barkley, this contract is not crazy. It's not crazy. You could get Barkley for right around the 14, 15 mil a year. You can make it as team friendly as possible. Barkley's going to be open to that as long as he gets upfront money. He probably doesn't care. Just like Geno Smith. Do whatever you want with the contract. Give me $52 million up front. Derek Carr, do whatever you want with the contract. Give me $70 million guaranteed. The $60 million up front at signing and the extra 10 that will come a little bit later. It's $70 million. That's what it's about. That's what players truly care about. And some of them, especially quarterbacks, love to have that average, the top average in the league. And I know that's important to the player. But the bottom line is this. Barkley is going to get an offer from Miami, from Buffalo, from Cincy, from a Kansas City rival that wants to take the Kansas City Chiefs out. And so Barkley has all of the leverage because he knows when he hits free agency, he's not going to come crawling back to the New York Giants. He will 100% leave and 100% not come back. He's going to get ice and he's not coming back. Okay, that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. Barkley's too good, and he's a difference maker. He's like Christian McCaffrey. He's like Derrick Henry, or like Derrick Henry could be for, let's say, 10 games, 14 games, 16 games. I don't know if he can do it for a full 17 in the right spot. I'd be willing to take the chance if I'm a GM, and this coming from somebody that in fantasy football wouldn't want to spend a first-round pick on him. And I still think it's a no-brainer and reckless not to move on this. But Barkley is going to find his big deal. And the other thing that Barkley's not concerned about, the reason he can push this team to the limit is because he's going to a better environment no matter what. The Giants are exciting. Danny Dimes and Barkley together is a Super Bowl hopeful team in like 3 years, 2 years, if they pull in the right people. Daboll's that good, but they're not winning a Super Bowl in 2023, probably not winning a Super Bowl in 2024, and they'd have to get a lot of luck on their side and some good acquisitions and some awesome free agent moves and they have to land some of the rookie picks. A lot of things have to happen for this team to go from a playoff berth type of team, which I fully believe they are, with Danny Dimes under Daboll and with Saquon Barkley on roster. Hodgins, I love a lot. Hodgins is a really good player, and I think he's going to really shine in 2023. But this team is not winning a Super Bowl. Wherever Barkley goes, the team that wants to pay Barkley the amount of money that Barkley's going to receive is going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. So Barkley has nothing to lose unless he loves New York so much he's willing to forego a Super Bowl potential appearance and getting a ring. And 2, guaranteed more money. Just guaranteed more money. He's the top running back free agent. He's going to find a home. There's zero reason for him to fear and sign a much lower deal than he wants instead of going to free agency and taking the chance that it isn't what he thought it would be. It will be what he thought it would be. And Daniel Jones, on this last note, I would say Daniel Jones is very unlikely to sign a deal before the deadline unless he's been bluffing the entire time, pushing it to the limit, like at the car dealership, and you're like, I don't want it. And in your head, you're like, I'm taking this no matter what. I know some of you have been there. You've actually got up, you've walked to your car, and in your head, you're saying, I want this deal so bad, I'm going to take it. I'm just going to see what he's going to give me, and I'm going to get in my car. I might even drive home, but I will go back the next day and get the car for the exact same deal. If Daniel Jones is pulling that kind of trick, and he's got that kind of thing going on, that's the game he's playing, maybe he does sign in the 11th hour, maybe, or the last hour. Maybe he does sign a $38 million deal that just has a nice little chunk of money up front. Maybe these two deals that were signed today, the Derek Carr deal and this deal, allows him to get $42 million up front. And he's like, I don't care about the per year average. Let's do it. Let's ink it. He's scared too. Danny Dimes is scared too, because if he gets franchise tagged for $32 million, which is a nice amount, let's just put that out there, he could get like 45 or 47 or 42, which is not a much bigger number than that, but with a more of a guarantee. You know, it will be 42 up front, 40 up front, with a total amount guaranteed in the range of like 60 or something like that. And therefore, he's guaranteed another 30 million, 25 to 32 million, something in that range, on top of what the 32 million franchise tag amount would get him. So he's going to be looking inward and looking at himself in the mirror and saying, without Dable, you know, they might franchise tag me, and maybe I'll ball out and they'll sign me to a long-term deal after that. So I'll get $32 million, then a big contract after. But if he's got any self-doubt at all, if he's got any concern that he's not going to, what if he doesn't do good on the $32 million franchise tag season? And he can get a guaranteed $60 million. And if I was his agent, I'd probably say this: look, Danny, if you believe in yourself, then if they give you an $80 million deal, 60 of it which is guaranteed, if you believe you're going to ball out enough to where you're going to get another contract, you're going to get that whole contract played out anyway, and you're going to get 80 million at the end of the day, 70 million. So I would say Danny Dimes is playing with fire. He's playing with fire. If he can get an upfront amount of like 60 mil, 55 million upfront, with more of a contract that if played out to the end pays him 70 million, and he's banking on himself enough to have a good season at 32 mil, why not just take that? He could maybe get more later, but do we really think Danny Dimes is locked in to replicate what he did last year and kind of go above and beyond? I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if I was his agent, I would probably be pushing him to maybe accept something. And then he's going to get an extension. Like if he signs let's say he signs a 3-year deal similar to Geno Smith's deal, but just a little bit less money, like 40 million guaranteed instead of Geno's 52. If Danny Dimes balls out and becomes the quarterback he believes he's going to be, he's going to get a second contract. And in 2 or 3 years, the salary cap's going to be 20%, injection of 20% into that bad boy. And he's going to get a massive payday in 3 years from now. It's almost timed perfectly too. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm not sure if he's calling the Giants bluff. We'll have to see. But end of day tomorrow or 4 p.m., we'll know if Saquon Barkley's hitting free agency, whether Barkley or Dimes gets a contract. If Danny Dimes gets a contract, Barkley's getting franchise tagged. If Barkley gets a contract, Danny Dimes is getting franchise tagged. We'll know tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. So that covers pretty much all these guys right here. Again, Aaron Rodgers, nothing new other than he met with the New York Jets, and such a weird statement by Trey Wingo. I don't know who gave him this information, but per sources, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets had conversations today. While nothing is intimate, Rodgers is open to the idea. This is like, is this an old message? Are we going back in time? Open to the idea is like something we were hearing in January. And now we're sitting here on March 6th, literally almost knocking at the door, a little over, like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, like 16 hours or 15 hours away from, no. We're like what? Like 14 hours away from the franchise tag window closing. And we're hearing that Aaron Rodgers is open to the idea of maybe he needs another darkness retreat to kind of speed this along. I'm not sure. Let's get to the phone lines. Let's get to the questions in the chat. Appreciate Hob G dropping the $50 hauler on screen. Let me put that back on screen and rejoice in the greatness that is Hob G's. Hob G's, appreciate your $50 hauler, my guy. You are the man, the myth, the legend. My dude. I'm happy that Dable is the coach. Dable is such a good coach. Dable, you know my wish list, if I was to wish Anthony Richardson to go to a certain location, it would be to Dable. It would be get this draft pick 25 up into this 1, 2, or 3 overall. You probably need to guarantee it by the 1. To be honest with you, Anthony Richardson's stock went up so much with one workout at the combine. What do you think's going to happen when he has the pro day coming up? And he has the last pro day. He's on March 30. The rest of the quarterbacks their pro days are before. We have March 22nd for Stroud. We got, I believe, Bryce Young on the 23rd of March. This is right in the middle of March Madness, by the way, too. So 23rd, 22nd, I think. March Madness starts right around the 20th, 22nd, somewhere around that territory. But we got Bryce Young on the 23rd, Stroud the 22nd. Levis is the 24th or 25th, and Anthony Richardson, I believe, is the 30th. And so do you think Anthony Richardson is not going to go out and enamor people once again? He's going to. His number 2 overall value that I think Anthony Richardson climbed into is going to potentially be number 1 overall. And the team that goes up to number 1 and takes that Bears number 1 overall draft pick is probably going to be an enamored team with Anthony Richardson. And he very well could be the number 1 overall pick. And you can see the storyline now. His favorite player ever has been Cam Newton. Cam Newton was not even close to being the number 1 overall pick, let alone the number 1 quarterback. He was like 2 or 3 on a lot of people's boards. And in the final moments, walking into the NFL draft, Cam Newton's stock just started to climb. It started to climb very similar to Anthony Richardson's stock. And it wouldn't shock me if the story being told is, oh my God, Cam Newton's your favorite player. He too went number 1 overall. He too was not expected or projected to be number 1 overall. And he ended up climbing all the way to the 1 pick. How do you feel about that? Your mentor, the player you've looked up to. And Anthony Richardson's going to go, here, let me show you. Let me do a backflip on stage and let me bench press 500 pounds real quick. And here, let me squat the entire stage on my back and impress you a little bit more because I'm just the most athletic quarterback that's ever gone to the combine in the history of the combine. That's what he's going to do. This guy's impressive. He's impressive. Could he be Jamarcus Russell 2.0? Maybe. Not in the hands of Dable, which is why I even got on the screen. I apologize for my sidetracking. But New York Giants need to move from this 25 pick all the way up to this number 1 overall pick. Richardson, best place would be Dable through the roof. Yeah, I would forego Danny Dimes 1,000 times over if I could get into the 1 pick and draft this guy, Anthony Richardson, whatever it took. Future first rounder, trade away, whatever you got to do. Obviously not anything, too crazy, but I would give up multiple draft picks. I give up a future first, a couple seconds to move this 25 overall to the 1. And I don't even know if it required 2 first rounders to move from 25 to 1. It very well could. It's so hard to assess what the number 1 overall pick is valued at, especially when there's a guy like this. So Dable would make this man an absolute monster. Look what he did with Josh Allen. Very similar in terms of like running ability, accuracy concerns. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people say this kid didn't run. He didn't really know how to run an offense yet. He's very raw and he can't make every throw. And, maybe he's not the quickest, upstairs or something. There's a lot of people that throw negativity out on this kid. He doesn't have a lot of experience. And so he sat down and did some you could say like mocking up some plays and some coverages, and there's some things he didn't know, and it was kind of surprising me. Like, have you seen this coverage? No, I haven't seen this coverage. Okay, let me show it to you. He was showing a coverage on the board. I forget who it was. Who was it that showed him that? I'm blanking out on it. Somebody had to have seen that on ESPN, but they're having him look at a mock-up of a play in the coverage, and they basically marker board sesh this whole thing out. He'd never seen what was being presented to him. You could tell he was like, this is the first time I've ever seen this before. And you're like, I remember thinking to myself, this kid is raw. He doesn't know every coverage that that's out there in the NFL. He's got a lot to learn. Reading defenses could be hard for him. And then he was asked after the board was wiped to redraw the play and the coverage that he'd never seen before, and he sketched it all out. And so I walked away. I initially sat down going, okay, he doesn't know much in terms of NFL defenses, and he hasn't seen every, single coverage in the world. He doesn't even know what some coverages are even called. Like, there's a lot of, reading defenses could be a problem for this kid. That's what I thought. My first instinct was this kid might struggle. And then when he erased that play and asked him to redraw the play, redraw the route, tell me who was running each route. He was using a 49er play and 49er players. He was using J.J. Stokes. He was using Jerry Rice. He was using Steve Young. He was using a formation that was used often in 49er land. And literally, the guy admitted, the quarterback Anthony Richardson, very honest, saying he had never seen this before. He didn't know this coverage, and he redrew it all. I was super impressed with it. I ended up coming away more impressed than I would have been if he had been able to read and know about every coverage known to man at the NFL level. So I'm pretty impressed with him, to be honest with you. Bryce Young is Kyler Murray, ant ceiling, best QB in the league. Says Sandu. I'm not sure what Anthony Richardson ceiling is the best QB. Okay. Look, let me say this, Sandu. I appreciate you, and I agree the ceiling is maybe higher. The risk is higher, but the ceiling might be higher with Anthony Richardson if in the right spot. But here's what I'll say, Sandu, not to argue with you, because there's definitely a room to argue these points. Number one, okay, this is point number one. Bryce Young, calling him Kyler Murray is not a negative in terms of size and build. I know a lot of people like to tie Kyler's disappointment so far to his size, but it's not his size that's a problem. Kyler's had much success at the NFL level, and he led a team, the Cardinals, to an undefeated first half of the season. They were the best team in football. They were in an air raid attack, absolutely on point. Kyler's one of the most explosive, elusive quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. Kyler's proven to be clutch in the fourth quarter. When the game's on the line, he needs to put it on his back and carry the entire team. I'm very critical of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. My critique usually, unless I'm joking around on Rodgers' live stream and we're trying to just, pile it on the Cardinals, because they always pile it on my Cardinals when I go on his live stream. But what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, my negatives for Kyler have nothing to do with his size or stature. It has to do with his attitude, his crybaby mentality, his inability to mingle with his own team and build rapport with them. None of it has to do with his size. He has proven that he can play at this level. So I almost don't like when people use, he's Kyler. That's not a negative. Kyler has absolutely been an absolutely good quarterback, proven at certain points in his career. The things holding him back are not his physical skills. His physical skills are an asset. He has the ability. He is the one quarterback in the NFL that has top 5 quarterback talent that's playing at a top 10 to 12 quarterback level. And so when I hear somebody say he's Kyler, oh, that's a great compliment. Appreciate that. Yeah, so you agree he's also good as well? No. I'm saying he's just like Kyler. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I didn't know you liked Bryce Young. I didn't know we were both on the same page. You like Bryce Young too? No, Smitty. What I'm trying to tell you is he's Kyler Murray. That means, he's a crybaby? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, no. Bryce Young's got a real good attitude. He's a real good kid. Smart, driven, a well-mannered kid. Not that Kyler Murray's not well-mannered, but Kyler Murray has these crybaby mentalities. He's not very easy to get along with. He has that diva persona, and you want your quarterback to be arrogant in a certain way. You want him to kind of have a diva persona, but this Bryce Young kid's nothing like Kyler Murray in all those negatives that we speak of. He is like Kyler Murray in his elusiveness. Kyler Murray's elusive. He is like Kyler Murray in extending a play. Very much a good quality. And Bryce Young's even better at extending a play, because in college, there was no dead play. As long as Bryce Young still was upright and had the football, the play, and there was no holding penalty, the play was not dead. It was never dead with Bryce Young. Bryce Young's magical. I like Bryce Young. It's not a negative, but it is not that tier of Lamar's, Mahomes, Allen's, and Burrow's. Yeah, but you know what, Sandu? I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to necessarily be in that tier. I think Anthony Richardson's going to be fighting with Lamar, Fields, and T. Law for that 5, 6, 7, 8 spot. You know, that's where his, I think, max ceiling value is going to be. And Kyler is in that tier. Kyler is in that tier physically. He isn't in that tier emotionally and attitude-wise and leadership-wise. And that's why Kyler's right now not my quarterback. I'm an Arizona Cardinal fan. I'm in Arizona, and I don't sit here and look at Kyler Murray and feel like that's my quarterback. I don't trust him. I don't think he's got the drive anymore. I think he's a complainer, and his teammates don't even feel like he's a part of the team. And those are horrible qualities. Bryce Young's nothing like that. Bryce Young's nothing like that, and all of Kyler Murray's physical attributes are not bad at all. They're in some ways advantage, and he's elusive. I really like Bryce Young. I love that there's doubt around Bryce Young. I love it, and I hope it continues. And Sandu, I don't care if you don't think he's amazing or not. That's total preference. I'm not mad at. There's no laps being taken, but I love and enjoy that the negativity surrounding Bryce Young still exists. I really do. It's gonna be fun to watch. Keep in mind, people made fun of Mahomes at one point. People made fun of Josh Allen. People made fun of Justin Fields. And I was one of the people that wasn't extremely high on Justin Fields. I usually land quarterbacks really, really well. And I'll admit, I didn't feel like Justin Fields was going to do what Justin Fields did. That was one, I wouldn't say I entirely missed on him, but I would say I definitely didn't see Fields being as good as Fields was his rookie year at all. And so that was a learning experience for me. And I feel like, for the most part, I land quarterback breakouts. I felt like I got Trey and Fields swapped. Although I still feel like Trey in the right spot would have flourished, but now I don't know what to expect out of Trey because I don't trust Shanahan at all. I think Shanahan's literally just setting him up for failure and destruction, especially the way he talks about him right now, being a dual threat quarterback and not backing him as a pocket passer and treating him like a Purdy in terms of throwing the football. It's ridiculous. So we'll see, bro. I really, 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 really like Kyler Murray physically. He's not my quarterback. I really, really like Bryce Young physically, and he's got the talent and skill set, and I think he's got the drive and determination as well to boot. So you throw him in the right spot. You put him in a I don't know where I think is the most likely to succeed location for Bryce Young, because there's certainly places where he could fail. I think the Texans, if they use that 12 pick on a Jackson Smith and Jigba, give me a break. I can't wait for the doubters to come here and act like Bryce Young's not going to do well in Houston in this nice rebuild of an organization led by Caserio, who's doing such a phenomenal job as a GM. This is a different team now under Caserio. They got rid of Deshaun Watson. Absolutely love the fact that this guy's in charge. And if they take Bryce Young at 2 and they take Jackson Smith and Jigba or Quentin Johnston or Zay Flowers at number 12 overall, or Addison, I suppose. Addison did disappoint me though. But I think that if he lands in the Texans little situation there that they got brewing, I'm going to be all about it. If he landed as an Arizona Cardinal, I'd be ecstatic, but that's not going to happen. Colts are a tough one because I like Pittman a little bit. I don't know that I love that wide receiver room that much, though, at the end of the day. I love JT. I don't know how I feel about the coaching staff and whether they're going to support a guy of his skill set and have the right offense for him. It's amazing some coaches don't know how to deploy and build their team around their quarterback. A la the Baltimore Ravens. So for as much crap as Kingsbury took in Arizona, he did build around Kyler Murray, and it sounds like Gannon's going to do the same thing in Arizona. But Kingsbury built around Kyler Murray and got the most out of him physically. He just couldn't get the most out of him, mentally and emotionally. But I think Kingsbury did build an offense that was suited to Kyler Murray. So I don't know if the Colts are committed to that. You heard A.B. Mixon, Smitty? What's that mean? That I heard A.B. Mixon, Smitty? Is there something breaking right now? I don't see anything. What do you mean? I heard A.B. Smitty. What's that mean? Seahawks aren't. Somebody said in here, sit behind Geno. Yeah, Ant could sit behind Geno. The Seahawks are not taking Anthony at 5, bro. I don't think. After that Geno Smith contract signing, no, I don't see it, bro. I don't see it at all. That contract is way too big to be drafting a QB at 5. I think you'd see, if Anthony Richardson got drafted by the Seahawks at 5, it would be one of those situations where people are scratching their heads. It's so confusing. So, AB means about. Okay. When did AB turn into about? When did I miss that? You guys abbreviating everything now. Did I hear about Mixon? Let's see. Are there new news about Mixon? Let's pull it up. What's Mixon up to now? Good Lord. I mean, let me put the planet Uranus men up.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Someone let me know where this news is. What did Mixon do now? I don't see it anywhere yet. I'm looking at Twitter. Hold on. Sometimes things break while I'm live. Joe Mixon. Is there footage? Is there video footage? If so, he's done. Fox 19 is reporting shots fired near Bengals running back Joe Mixon's house. They're apparently been banging on his door, waiting for an answer. A young kid was taken to the hospital with injuries that we don't know the extent of. Joe Mixon's involvement doesn't. And then it just ends there. Disputes. Let's see here. There's a dispute going on. Joe Mixon. Okay, there's people that are dropping some memes here. I got to decipher what's real. Deputies are now inside Joe Mixon's home. Hold on. Let's see here. Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's home still has sheriff's deputies out front, the side and backyard. Around 11 p.m., deputies banged on the front door saying, "Sheriff's Department, come out." Crime scene tape was extended across the driveway then, too. Unreal. So what are some of the reports saying? We might have to cut that live stream short and go live on this. I'll try and compartmentalize everything, so that we got a separate live stream for everything. Does anybody know, is there any kind of, clarification from any legitimate source? Because everything I'm seeing is that there's Joe Mixon's house is being taped off. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. Okay, let's go ahead. And I hate to end this live stream. We got 126 people in here. Usually when we restart, we lose about 40% of people. They somehow don't come back, or maybe we'll wait until we have a little more information on this too. We're live anyway, so it doesn't matter. We'll stay live on it. Joe Mixon. What's up, guys? The live stream was cutting in and out. I'm going to go ahead and restart. Let's get all 86 of you that are still here to come back, and we're going to go live on this, okay? We're going to go live on this right now. Please come back. 86 of you, please jump back in, and we'll go live.